Welcome to the channel. My name is Oblivion. With Ishtar being the last Resplendent we will receive in 2021, I figured there was no better time than now to discuss what characters I would love to see get Resplendents in 2022. So let's jump right in. Number 10. Donald was one of the best villager units in all of Fire Emblem. And in FEH, he got that extra villager BST, which allowed him to stay competitive for quite a while, considering he didn't have a preference weapon. Personally, Donald was my first Null C tank in Ether raids, and he did an amazing job until eventually the power creep pushed him out. Unfortunately, his Refine ended up being a player phase Brave weapon instead of a tanking one, but even though that changed his role for me, Donald was still a great unit and can be quite the monster with the right investment. Donald's stat line is quite well rounded, and the bonus stats could help increase his attack stats so he can take full advantage of his preference Brave weapon. Donald's base art is very simple, but that suits him quite well. But after putting in so much work in Awakening and Fire Emblem Heroes, I think Donald deserves some nice new clothes, though the pot has to stay. I think a regal Asker attire would suit Donald well, and the gold trim could match his signature pot on his head. Attire similar to Asker Reinhardt's, with a golden armor and the golden trim along his cloak. That would make Donald look absolutely amazing. Number 9. Joshua is my favorite Sacred Stones character. The first year of FEH, I saved a ton of orbs to summon for Joshua, only for him to come out as a Tempest Trial unit. Fortunately, he got a preference weapon, though it was decent at the time. Unfortunately, its Refine was meh at best. Joshua has a middling stat line, not specializing in any one stat, which works well on a tank build, but only if he has enough stats. The bonus stats could help him patch this up, especially in the attack department where it is quite low. Joshua's base art isn't bad by any means, but does lack a bit of soul. Joshua isn't even carrying a signature weapon. For the Resplendent, I would love to see a Nidavellir theme. Imagine Joshua with a bodysuit like Sother Merrick, but with his majestic jacket hanging off his shoulders. They could also design a new version of his signature hat. I'd love if his special art could be similar to a Cypher art, where Joshua looks like a complete and total badass. Number 8. Myrrh is by far my favorite of the small dragons, such as Tiki or Fae. Sacred Stones was the first Fire Emblem I played, where you could control a Manakete unit, so I immediately loved using Myrrh, even though her Dragonstone reduced how much I could actually play her. Myrrh's relationship with Ephraim is extremely sweet, and so she quickly became one of my favorites. Through some weird luck on Legendary Banners, I end up with a highly merged Myrrh, and she was a complete beast of a unit. And with her Refine, she is still extremely powerful. Her Refined preference weapon allows her to be an extremely bulky tank, so the bonus stats would definitely help her perform that role. The additional defense would be especially helpful to ensure her weapon's proc activates. Myrrh's art is already amazing, but a fairy version of Myrrh would be adorable. I could see her being all kinds of fairies, similar to Resplendent Celica or Resplendent Deltia. Number 7. Ravelyn was a part of my favorite Choose Your Legends, and she was a complete menace in the meta, but her prominence has fallen since then. While Ravelyn still can do well, she's a bit lacking compared to more recent bowcasts such as Wolf or Ascendant Leg Yarn. Unlike the other CYL1 refines, Ravelyn had a tame refine, mostly due to her being so powerful up to that point. The major problem with Ravelyn's refine is that it is based off visible speed, which means as time goes on, it becomes more and more difficult for the effect to actually activate. Her preference B skill, Sakei's Blessing, is still quite good though. All this is to say, Ravelyn could use some help in the stat department. While the bonus stats still wouldn't allow her to have the speed to catch up to the current units, it could definitely help. There's always a choice to use a different bow as well, such as a Fire Sweep bow. When it comes to Ravelyn's art, I think it is quite good, though it isn't my favorite Lyn art by any means. That would definitely go to Legendary Lyn. Legendary Lyn's art once again proves that Wada Sachiko is a god tier artist. As for Resplendent, I would love to see a Moosebell version of Lyn. It would be quite different from all her alts, which have such a focus on light colors. Also, we could switch out her furs and her Brave art for the dark feathers of Moosebell. Number 6. Mia is my favorite Swordmaster from Tellius, and in FEH she actually is quite good, especially in year 1. Though her Refine is a bit outdated now, she can still do a lot of true damage. Her default stat line isn't too bad, but with bonus stats we could increase her low attack and improve her impressive speed, which would also help her crank out that true damage with her preference weapon. As for her art, Yone Yamamai did a great job of capturing Mia's playful nature, but even so, a Resplendent could be fun. I would love to see a Resplendent with the theme of Jotunheimer. Mia would look like a complete badass wearing all that Valkyrie armor, and she does like to wear light clothes, similar to outfits like Dagger or Not. They could also turn her signature ribbon into a tiara similar to theirs, which would be awesome. But most importantly, it would also allow Mia to match another upcoming unit on this list, which would just be perfect. Number 5. Leon is my favorite antagonist in all of Fire Emblem. He holds a special place in my heart, and this is largely due to his tragic tale in Sacred Stones. Leon is unlike any other villain in Fire Emblem. where many other villains are trying to take over the countries or buy some kind of dark dragon or something like that. Leon is just a person struggling with self-confidence, and in a moment of weakness, he turns to a dark power in order to bring back his dead father. And I think that his story just really resonated with me. It was largely due to Leon's character that I love Sacred Stone so much, and it was my favorite game for a very long time. The other thing that made me love Sacred Stone so much was that after you beat the game, you could play the creature campaign, and by beating it enough times, you could unlock Leon as a playable character. He wouldn't have supports or anything else, but it gave me a feeling of redemption for Leon, and it let me play as one of my favorite characters. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Leon wasn't treated quite as well. He came out as a free unit with a pretty basic preference weapon, especially when you compare it to some other free-to-play units like Julius. His Refine is good but not amazing, and his stat line is okay, not too bad. He could definitely use the bonus stats to help him out, so he can more favorably compare to units like Sophia or Julius. I would love to see Leon's art updated. Miyaji art is not bad by any means, but it lacks some of the heart, especially when compared to Fallen Leon or Baby Leon, who have both amazing art. You can really see the evil in Fallen Leon's eyes and pose, while with Baby Leon you can still see the innocence shining in his eyes, and I would love to see some of that in the new Resplendent art. When it comes to themes for his Resplendent, I would love to see a Nidavellir theme. While Hell or Moonspell could work for his possessed Leon form, I'd love to see a slick mage outfit more suited for Leon before his possession. I'd love to see him in a purple bodysuit similar to Resplendent Merrick or Soth, and then have a cool futuristic cloak hanging over it. It would give Leon that badass mage look he's always deserved. Number 4. Ninian is easily one of the most beautiful characters in Fire Emblem. I loved her role in Fire Emblem 7, and she's one of the few characters I actually ship. She is Roy's mother, and I won't listen to anything else. I'd love to see an update to Ninian's art and give her a chance to wear something new. Bridal Ninian is actually one of my favorite dancers aesthetically in the game. I love how happy she looks, and she looks gorgeous in a wedding dress. Enkyo Yujiro did an amazing job and chose great colors to emphasize Ninian's beauty. While Ninian's stat line doesn't really matter because she's a dancer, more HP would let Ninian fulfill her niche of being a common infantry pulser. As for the theme for Resplendent, I would love to see a fairy Ninian. She would look great in some light colors, similar to Fairy Celica. Number 3. I'm a massive Roy fan. This is partially due to Smash Brothers and me finding Fire Emblem Heroes through Melee, but also me maining Roy in Melee for a very long time. And I'm sick and tired of how Fire Emblem Heroes treats Roy. They do Roy super dirty. His legendary form is terrible, and his Valentine's form is okay, I guess. But Brave Roy got robbed. His own father stole his preference weapon and came out with some resplendent stats and just showed him up, and I am tired of it. No, Roy does not need new art. Brave Roy art is god tier. It's done by Wada. It's amazing. I would never change it. I don't care how good the resplendent art is, but Brave Roy needs his stats. He needs his resplendent stats because he needs to steal his niche back from his dad. His dad has done him dirty. With the bonus stats from the resplendent, he would have more attack, speed, and defense than Ellie would, though he would have quite a bit lower res. And while Ellie would still be free to play and easier to merge, it would give Brave Roy some niche, and it would give me a much better feeling about Roy's place in Fire Emblem Heroes. I'd also love if they did a remix of the Brave Heroes, giving some of the older winners preference skills. That would be amazing. That's definitely not this video, but I would love to go over that at some point. When it comes to art, I would love to see Brave Roy with a Moonspell design though. It would be a nice parallel to his base Roy Resplendent. I could see them really focusing on the flames, similar to Resplendent Ike or Resplendent Chrom, and really playing that up. Number 2. Nephenee is my favorite female character in all of Fire Emblem. She's absolutely amazing. I love everything about her, from her personality to her design, to her availability and power in the Tellius games. She's a complete one-woman army, and it just feels good to use her. In Fire Emblem Heroes, she came out and she was actually pretty solid for the beginning. She didn't have a preference weapon, but she did have a slaying weapon, which was quite strong back then. Her stat line was quite good at the time, though her attack was still a little low, even for Generation 1. And when she got her refinement, it was actually considered quite strong with the slaying effect and the armor effectiveness. But over time, it has very much become outdated and is not nearly as good as it once was. Nowadays, Nephenee could definitely use the bonus stats to increase that extremely low attack stat and to help boost her speed to a more respectable level. When it comes to her art in Fire Emblem Heroes, I am not a big fan of Hachan's art style. It's too frilly, too cute, and doesn't really suit Nephenee's personality, though Nephenee can be pretty cute when she tries to cover up her accent or lack of social skills. As for her resplendent theme, I would love a Jotunheimer Nephenee. It would be completely badass. Imagine a Valkyrie Nephenee. It would look so cool. You could show off her legs and her muscles. She could look similar to Not or Dagger in design, and they could change her helmet into a cool Jotunheimer tiara almost, like with a cool design like that. It would look so cool. Her armor would be amazing. She'd be completely badass. I'd also love if they changed her special art closer to the Cypher art she has, where she looks really fierce and powerful. Nephenee is just such an amazing character, an amazing unit, and I'd love to see her badass nature more exemplified in her art. Number 1. Jafar, the Angel of Death, the one and only, the original assassin, the bringer of lethality. Fire Emblem Sun was the first Fire Emblem game I ever played, and I was quite bad. I was quite young at the time, and I essentially used all the pre-promoted units to get to the end game. And when I got to that last level, all my units were just so weak. I had such a difficult time defeating all the bosses that are lined up in that last map. And then here came Jafar, and Jafar just... oh, he was just a lifesaver. He came with lethality and just took out all these enemies he had no right defeating, and it felt amazing. And that's just one reason why I really love Jafar. The other reason is just he's a great character. This character who is essentially just a weapon for the Black Fang, someone they don't consider an ally or someone with a heart. He just does missions and kills people. But his relationship with Nino is just so wholesome, and it really reveals what kind of person he truly is. So when you finally got to recruit him, I was just astonished. Like, I never expected to have such a powerful character being able to be recruited. So when I actually got Jafar on my team, I was just beyond excited. He was so cool and badass. And he even had that morally gray aspect to him where he is a murderer, and he had killed Layla, who is, you know, one of these important characters story-wise, even though you don't get that much time with her. It made Jafar stand out so much in Fire Emblem 7. It made him such an unforgettable character. Unfortunately, in Fire Emblem Heroes, Jafar just came way too soon. He was on one of the first banners, and back then they did not treat their dagger units very well. They had very bad stat lines, and as you can see, Jafar is definitely one of those units. With his rocking 26 attack, which is just abysmal. He was also one of the first units to get a preference Refine, and the Refine is decent. It does do that splash damage while also allowing him to attack into mages without getting counterattacked. So it's not terrible, but it's definitely not good and could be updated. The bonus stats are going to be the big thing for Jafar here though. Definitely going to help him get a little bit better stats, still not quite usable. He'd still be rocking only 20 attack, and with his 14-might weapon, that's 42 attack. Nothing to write home about. But the real reason why I want Jafar to have a Resplendent so badly is because I really want an updated art. While Kusugi Toka's art is not bad at all, it does not capture the fierceness of Jafar. It doesn't capture the deadly nature of Jafar himself, and I would love to just have an updated art that really could capture some of that. And when it comes to themes, there's only one you could possibly choose. It has to be the Hell theme. I would love to have a Jafar with an art style similar to Hell Eldigan or Hell Raven. I think both of them look absolutely amazing with their glowing parts, and you can just really see the use of color in Eldigan. The dark blacks and the crimson reds just really make Eldigan look scary and horrifying and intimidating. And the same can be said with Raven, even though they do use more of like a teal green or blue. It looks so good. It looks amazing, and I would love to see Jafar in that kind of outfit, rocking those colors. I'm not sure what color they would use as his main, maybe like a yellow or a red even, and he could just really live up to his epithet of Angel of Death. While Jafar will never be a top tier unit in Fire Emblem Heroes, I would love if his art at least was. He's an amazing character, and he definitely deserves at least that much. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe, and also drop a comment telling me which Resplendent you are looking forward to the most. Is it a Gen 1 or Gen 2 unit, or are you looking forward to the future where we get Gen 3 units as Resplendents? Also, which of my Resplendents that I chose do you love, and which ones do you hate? And lastly, what themes did I get right? Do you think that I chose the correct themes for the characters I chose, or did I choose completely incorrect? Let me know down in the comment section. I'll catch everyone tomorrow for more Fire Emblem Heroes. See you then.